Hello P6. For today's literacy lesson, we are going to think about speech marks, which are sometimes called inverted commas. And we use speech marks to show whenever somebody is speaking out loud. To start off with, we're going to use a passage from Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Now, I'm going to read it through with you so you can read it on the screen. But as I read it, I want you to think about which are the spoken words in this passage. So which words are spoken out loud? So read it with me and think about which words are spoken out loud. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. There was a whistle behind them. Nearly everyone had boarded the train and the doors were closing. "You'd better hurry," said Mr. Weasley. "Hurry, quickly," cried Mrs. Weasley. He hurried forwards, and Mr. and Mrs. Weasley helped him load his trunk onto the train. "Now, dear, you're coming to us for Christmas. It's all been arranged with Dumbledore, so we'll see you quite soon," said Mr. Weasley through the window. "You make sure you look after yourself." The train was gathering speed. Mrs. Weasley shouted, "Be good and stay safe." Now, pause the video for a moment and go and talk with one of your adults about which are the spoken words, and then come back. Okay, so you had to think about which are the spoken words? Well, the first set of words that are spoken are "You'd better hurry," said Mr. Weasley. So I'm going to highlight those with my highlighter. You'd better hurry. The next words that are spoken: "Hurry, quickly." Where does the next set of speech start? Well, yes, it starts here. "Now, dear, you're coming to us for Christmas. It's all been arranged with Dumbledore, so we'll see you quite soon." Said Mr. Weasley through the window. Now, he doesn't say that bit out loud, so we're not going to highlight that. "You make sure you look after yourself." That bit's spoken, so I'm going to highlight that bit. The train was gathering speed. Mrs. Weasley shouted, "Be good and stay safe." So, yep, that bit is spoken out loud. Now, when we look at the bits that are spoken out loud, well, that's where we're going to find our speech marks or our inverted commas. Inverted commas or speech marks are used to show exactly where the speaking begins and where the speaking ends. Now, if you look really carefully at it, what you'll see is that the speech marks go before the first letter of the first word that is spoken. And can you see that that first word that's spoken has a capital letter? That's really important. Now again, look where those speech marks are. They're not up above the capital Y, they're just in front of it. "You'd better hurry, comma, close your speech marks," said Mr. Weasley. This is what's called a reporting clause. These words tell us who it is that's actually speaking. And because this is a verb, before a verb, there has to be this comma. "You'd better hurry, comma, close the speech marks," said Mr. Weasley. Now in the next line, Mrs. Weasley speaks. So there's our reporting clause, cried Mrs. Weasley. The words that she says are "hurry, quickly." So again, we start with our speech marks before the capital H, and the speech marks close after the punctuation. But can you see, it's not a comma this time, it's an exclamation mark. So we use the exclamation mark and then the speech marks go after that. The next words that are spoken, well, they're by Mr. Weasley. He says these words through the window. So the words that he says are, "Now, dear, you're coming to us for Christmas. It's all been arranged with Dumbledore, so we'll see you quite soon. You make sure you look after yourself." There are two separate bits of speech, so we have to have two sets of speech marks. We've got one at the beginning of the first set, and then after the comma, we close our speech marks. But then Mr. Weasley starts speaking again, so we have a new set of speech marks. "You make sure you look after yourself." And because he's finished speaking, we put a full stop and close the speech marks. The last bit of speech comes from Mrs. Weasley, and she's shouting this bit. Be good and stay safe. So we've got a comma after the word shouted. Then we open up our speech marks. Capital B, because this is the first word that she says. Speech marks go at the very end, but they go after the exclamation mark. Now, to go through all of that detail again, what I'd like you to do next is go and log into Education City. And when you log into Education City, I want you to first of all go and look at one of the Learn screens, which is called Be a Good Sport 2. And that will take you once again through reporting clauses and where you place your speech marks. For your warm-up activity today then, what I'd like you to do then is stay in Education City and have a go at the next activity, which is called Pitch Perfect. And in Pitch Perfect, you'll get to practice putting in the speech marks and the commas and deciding which sentences are right, where the punctuation has been placed properly. Once you've had a go at that warm-up activity, then for today's written activity, we are going to take a look at this page. On this page, I have given you 12 sentences altogether. And in these 12 sentences, I've given you all of the punctuation except for the speech marks. So what you need to do with each sentence is read through it. And the first thing I want you to do is get yourself a colouring pencil or a highlighter. And before you do any writing, I want you to highlight or colour in the words that are spoken. So let's do the first one together. Number 1, Tom asked his mum, "Have you seen my trainers? I can't find them." Now ask yourself, which words are spoken? Well, the words that are spoken in this one are, "Have you seen my trainers? I can't find them." So take your highlighter and go and highlight those words. And then what I want you to do underneath, on the line underneath, is go and write out that sentence, but add in the speech marks where they should have gone. So we begin with our capital T for Tom. So Tom asked his mum. Now, do you notice that after the word mum, there is a comma? So make sure your comma goes in. We're about to start speaking, so put your speech marks in nice and high. Capital H for have you seen my trainers? And you'll see that there's a question mark after trainers. Now we're not closing the speech marks because Tom is still speaking. So he keeps going. He says, "I can't find them." Don't forget your apostrophe. "I can't find them." Now, after them, we've got an exclamation mark. And after the exclamation mark, we close the speech marks. Let's have a look at number 2. "My dad is at work," said Lisa, "but he'll be home soon." Now, which words are spoken in that sentence? "My dad is at work," said Lisa, "but he'll be home soon." Well, the spoken words are, "My dad is at work, but he'll be home soon." And in the middle of that, we've got the words "said Lisa." So that tells me we're going to have a set of speech marks around this part and then a new set of speech marks around this one. So we're starting with speaking. So put your speech marks in at the very start, and then once you've got your speech marks in, capital M for my dad is at work. Now, after the word work, we've got a comma, then we close the speech marks. Said Lisa, make sure that gets a capital A. But Lisa hasn't actually finished speaking, so we're going to put a comma after her name. We're about to start speaking again, so new speech marks. Not a capital letter this time, it's still part of the same sentence. My dad is at work, but he'll be home soon. So, but he'll, again, apostrophe in that word, be home soon. full stop at the end. Make sure you copy that over. And then after that, we close our speech marks. My dad is at work, said Lisa, but he'll be home soon. P6, for your task today, I want you to have a go at working out where the speech marks should go in these sentences. If you can't print the page out, don't worry, just write out the sentences on an ordinary piece of paper, or even just discuss with an adult in your house where all the capital letters, full stops, apostrophes, as well as the speech marks need to go. Now that's the main part of your activity. For the second part of today's activity, for your final challenge, I have given you 3 more sentences, but in these sentences, I've been really quite cruel because I haven't given you any of the punctuation. So for these 3 sentences, if you're up for today's challenge, have a go at working out where all of the punctuation has to go. Start off by working out which are the spoken words. Again, use your highlighter to highlight those words. And then once you've done that, can you think where do the capital letters go, the commas, apostrophes, and everything else? The answers are on the school website. Good luck.